Hello, everyone. This is CFL Cash Game Picks. I am your host, Russell Clay. You can find me at Russell J. Clay on Twitter. Um, Anyhow, let's get into it. Some exciting action this week. Montreal versus Edmonton's the first one we're going to be looking at. Edmonton, obviously, 8-point favorites here. And with Edmonton in the game, I think that means we know we're looking at a Darius Bowman. 10-6, obviously expensive, obviously a little underwhelming last week. I'm not too worried about that continuing this week. 140 receiving yards in two of his last four games. So I think he gets back to that type of production this week. 10-6, not a killer price. So I do like that. If you're looking for a pay down cash option, I like Deron Carter. I think he's very viable. Mentioned he's been above 115 receiving yards in each of the last 3 weeks. So he's obviously getting things going after he ran over the opposing coach there. 9,400, nice little pay down from Bowman and some of the other top options. So I do like him in cash. If you want to team Bowman with John White, I think he's an intriguing sort of run game, pass game type of combination. I think you can get the most out of that offense that is projected for, around 30 points. So I think that's a very intriguing group to use. And if you want to use the trio there, Mike Riley, obviously 11K, super expensive, but does have that nice floor for his price. If you're looking for a value in that game, I like BJ Cunningham quite a bit. I've mentioned him before. Prolific college receiver out of Michigan State, former Miami Dolphin. 5 receptions, 55 yards, and a touchdown last week. I think we could continue to see his role grow in the offense. Winnipeg and Toronto, I think we like that quite a bit in terms of Andrew Harris and the run game there for Winnipeg. It's only 7,400. Other than Massam, I can't really think of another more consistent running back than Harris. So I like him quite a bit. I think he will get the touches, at least 14 touches in every game this year. So you definitely like that at the running back spot, which is kind of hard to come by at this stage in the season. Another cash guy, we kind of just look at left for receivers, and Vidal Hazelton sort of rings the bell for us. 6,600, but again, the top 5 receiving options in this game for both teams are all on IR. So I think we look at Hazelton and say, all right, let's throw him in there, see what happens. Probably more of a tournament guy than a cash guy, but with that said, he's really the only guy out there. So I think he'll have tons of opportunity, and I like that quite a bit. Speaking of opportunity, Matt Nichols sort of taking over here, 300 passing yards in this year already. So I think we do have some upside for 7,300 at the quarterback position. More of a deep tournament play, but is someone to keep an eye on in that Winnipeg offense. For Toronto, the running back, Brendan Whitaker, you guys know about him. At least 18 touches in 3 of his last 4 games. At least 11 DK points in 5 of his last 6. Again, for running back, you're not really picking nits on production there. As long as someone's getting the touches, you're kind of throwing them in there. So I do like him in tournaments as well. And for the value there, Devin Wiley, 4,600 for Toronto. 5 receptions for 55 yards last week. Only 46. I think he continues to jump up here with some of the injuries as mentioned for Toronto. I think his role will continue to grow as he was a really solid college receiver, and I expect him to continue in that sort of slot-ish role for Toronto. So that's what I see there. Calgary, Saskatchewan. Calgary, 5-point underdogs, so that's pretty intriguing. I like the combination of Naaman Roosevelt and Bakari Grant. I think those are both intriguing options. So you look at Naaman Roosevelt, obviously disappointing with 2 receptions for 18 yards last week, but what are you going to do? That's just kind of that's just kind of how it goes sometimes in fantasy football. Players just have down weeks. So I think he gets back to his normal production. Before that, he was gaining 110 receiving yards seemingly every week. Only 8,600 compared to a lot of the higher priced options on the slate, as we mentioned, Jerron Carter, Adarius Bowman. So I do like his price quite a bit. Beyond him, though, I mean, it's pretty much all Calgary from what I'm seeing. Gotta love Jerome Assam. Hit big last week with that touchdown and over 100 rushing yards. Don't quite see that this week, but 7,500, you don't need that. As long as he gets you that 13 to 16 fantasy points, you're looking at a solid sort of tournament running back there. And the last guy here, Anthony Parker, 5,100. Very intriguing from a value standpoint. Had a touchdown last week. But I mean, he's been all over the place. 20 yards one week, 80 yards the next week. We don't really know what his role is, but at 5,100, it's worth finding out. Last game of the week here, Hamilton at British Columbia, BC. So BC's 3-point favorites here. You do like that. You're looking at Jonathan Jennings again at 9,200. Obviously, a nice pay down over some of the top quarterback options. I think you can find him potentially getting that running potential going last week. Because, I mean, he still threw for 330 yards and a touchdown. It was just they limited Montreal limited his rushing production. So if he can get back to getting some rushing yards, I think he's got that super high ceiling, and I like his floor as well. So I like 9,200 there. Jeremiah Johnson back, 6,400. Obviously had a nice week last week, 74 rushing yards. Pretty efficient. I mean, solid back. He was the starter, reclaimed that role. I like him in cash this week, especially with BC being favored. And to stack with Jonathan Jennings, Emmanuel Arsenault, 7,800. Solid value there for sure. And I mean, we keep going down the list. In terms of value tournament plays, Sean Gore and Brian Burnham. Burnham obviously emerged over Gore the last few weeks, but at the same time, I trust Gore still to continue on his role, and Burnham is still the newbie there. So I like both those guys as tournaments as well for 62 and 6,100. Overall, though, the pricing's getting there in terms of efficiency, so it's not as easy to sort of pick out the 4,500 guys other than a BJ Cunningham or Devin Wiley. So keep that in mind. And as always, hope you do well. Check out Daily Fantasy Cafe for all our great tools and content, and I will see you guys next week.